welcome back to my next episode of my Black History Makers series. I thank you so much for joining us. Today, we are talking to Lisa Gutierrez. Lisa is the owner of Dos Hermanos Taco Truck, and she is yet another mover and shaker in the city of Columbus. Lisa is amazing. And so I want to just talk with Lisa. Lisa, tell us about you. Tell us about your business.
Well, thank you, Stacy. Thank you for having me here on the Black History Makers series. This is absolutely phenomenal that you have taken the time to host so many different business owners here in Columbus. And I have to share that I cheated last night and I watched a few episodes so I could see what exactly everybody was talking about. I didn't come on here and look crazy or anything. So,
Ah,
um, and it was phenomenal. I mean, the speakers that you've had on. So if people haven't checked out prior to this video, it is definitely something that people should look at to really learn about what other phenomenal business owners are here in the city of Columbus that are Black owned. So Dos Hermanos started as one food truck, just one truck. Which is just really strange now thinking back. We're been in business for 8 years, and my husband's idea. I was a restaurant manager and was decompressing of 14 years of doing that and was just working at a hotel. And he said, "What do you think about starting a food truck?" And I think my honest, organic response was, "A what?" Because
and
I really didn't
what?
know. Yeah, I was like, what now? Because I really didn't know anything about the food truck scene. And I definitely did not know that food trucks were getting ready to go mobile, where they would be driving around the city from place to place.
Mm-hmm.
So I think before I even said yes, the food truck showed up in the driveway, Stace. And there it was, full of empty supplies from the person who had it prior to us. And we just found a space on the side of the road. We were on Morris Road and started selling tacos one day, and people just started to show up. And my husband and his brother, the two Dos Hermanos, if you will, they have an amazing passion for preparing authentic Mexican food.
Yeah.
Um, they're passionate about the ingredients that they use. They're passionate about the techniques on how the meats are cooked. And I think that people just really enjoyed one, coming to the food truck, and two, having some food that spoke to where they're from, which is Oaxaca, Mexico.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So now, 8 years later, you started out with one truck. Where are
Yeah.
you now? Eight
Oh
years
boy.
later, where are you now? Tell us about how you got to where you are and how you got to where you are.
Sure. So where we are is we have two food trucks and one taco cart. We have two brick and mortars, one downtown at the North Market, and then we're also up at the North Market in Bridge Park in Dublin. So we have grown to 33 employees now, which is absolutely amazing. This is why I do it, Stace. You know me. It's about the people for me. So the more people that buy tacos, the more people that show up to work here, the happier I am. And I feel like I'm fulfilling my mission and why I was here to help people. So it's an interesting story, Stace. So we actually had a small taco cart, and we had after we had the one initial truck, I was able to rent a small taco cart, and we put it out in front of OSU Medical Center. And me and my husband were out there one day, again, very early stages of the business. I was the cashier, he was the cook. And someone came up and said that they had had the food and would we like to serve inside the Buckeye Stadium on game day. So that really was a huge piece of momentum that we needed to not only be able to run the truck in one cart, but now we had, if you can believe it, we had a concession stand inside the Buckeye Stadium as well.
Wow.
So from the Buckeye, it went to the Schottenstein Center. From the Schottenstein Center, it went to the Crew Stadium. Uh, and then somehow, some way, I was asked to be on the mobile food vending board for the city of Columbus. And when I got to the table, Rick Wolf, who is the director of the North Market, was also on the board. So, of course, the entrepreneur that I am and my wheels were spinning, I thought to myself, how could I get either the food truck or the taco cart down at the North Market? So I had sent Rick a message on Facebook. And of course, we had all this momentum going because we were in these stadiums now and we were
Yeah.
feeling really good, right? And I said, hey, Rick, it's Lisa from the board, right? Trying to leverage that relationship. And I said, I'd love to see how I could put a food truck or a taco cart down around the North Market. And he sent me a message and he was like, well, let me think about it and get back to you. And I felt so deflated, right?
Yeah.
Because I felt like, this, we were going in the right direction of where we were supposed to be. But, God had a different plan, Stace, and so did Rick. And he asked me to come back 3 months later. And he said, you know what, Lisa, having you outside the North Market will not cure the seasonality of your business of being a food truck. Having you inside the North Market will allow you to employ people year round.
So a lot, I know a lot of your story, um, and I know you personally. And what I've seen is God truly, truly just kind of take your business and just catapult it, right? And just things have just kind of fallen in your lap. Talk to us, and if there's someone who's watching right now that maybe is a business owner and they're smart, starting out small, maybe they don't have a food truck, but maybe it's some small business and it's just them. Maybe they do cards, or maybe they design t-shirts or something like that.
Mhm.
You have such an amazing way about just being the entrepreneur that you are. What would you say to someone that is just feeling deflated, right? Just knowing from where you came and where you are right now, because now you've got this place up in Dublin, right? And when I met you, you didn't have that place up in Dublin, and Dublin is a little fancy up there. That location is fancy. You had to change a lot of stuff, right? So what would you say to someone who they're feeling deflated and they just feel like, they're not getting any breaks? Um, what would you attribute that to? How would you give them some motivation?
Yeah, absolutely, Stace. I always tell people to get around other like minded entrepreneurs. So, no matter what you're doing, whether it's food trucks or, like you said, making cards or real estate or whatever it is, find a group of people that are doing the same thing and just embed yourself with them and learn from them and how they've, worked their business and how they've grown their business. I mean, we brought the food truck over here to the food fort, which is where we first parked it, and there was other food trucks there. And just passing by and talking to them, hey, who do you use as an insurance agent?
Yeah.
Or hey, did you know that tomatoes or cilantro is on sale up at Restaurant Depot this week? Or I can save you a trip, I'm going there, let me get those items for you. I mean, it's such an, it saves so much time in your journey if you can learn from other people that are already doing the craft, especially if it's your own industry specific craft.
Mhm.
um, in a women's business center, of course, I feel like I learned a lot there. I felt like, now, even though I was an entrepreneur and I had a business, now it's not a great time for me to go back to college and maybe do, 4 years of, to get a degree. But I embedded myself in any kind of class, any kind of webinar, any kind of association that I could join that was food related. We belong to COFTA, which is a Central Ohio Food Truck Association. We belong to the Restaurant Association here and also the National Restaurant Association. And I can say, Stace, especially with the pandemic and so much information coming down, whether it's funding for your specific business or something in your industry, these things are what saved me and kept me, afloat and abreast of all the information that I needed to make it through this pandemic. So I say, get around people that are doing things that you want to do.
Yeah, yeah. So when the pandemic hit, a lot of restaurants were hit so hard.
Oh,
Um, and I know a lot of them closed and have closed their doors like forever. And you guys actually have I mean, You pivoted, right?
We pivoted any way that we could. We pivoted, and you know what we did, Stace. We opened up. First of all, we're in a commissary kitchen now.
Explain what a
It,
commissary kitchen is for people that don't know
absolutely.
what that is.
Sure. So this building has a commissary kitchen is where people can come and cook, and sometimes it's shared. So I'm here with two other businesses. So there's three businesses in this building, and we each have our own kitchen. It's licensed, through the Department of Health, and we also park our food trucks here. So this was supposed to be a place where we were going to hide and we were going to make food for all these venues I talked about, the stadiums, and we had some guest chef restaurant programs pre-pandemic. We also have a concession stand inside of the Greater Columbus Convention Center. And we were going to make food here, and keep the food consistent and then drive it to these other locations. And that's how we had operated before. We just needed more space. But when the pandemic happened, the first thing that closed was the Arnold at the convention center for us. And that was one of the biggest events of the year. And then shortly after, Nationwide called and said they weren't letting outside guest chef restaurants inside. And people wanted deposits back from the graduation parties that they had planned for in May. And I just felt like, like everybody else, the walls were crashing, things were closing. So I actually told my brother in law, put the food in the freezer. I had seen that a few restaurants in the North Market were closing as well, Stace, and I just didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I did know. Well, I knew I didn't want to be the leader, but I knew I had to be the leader
Yeah.
because I wasn't going to allow anybody else to lead us through it, if that makes sense.
Right.
So I said, just put the food in the freezer and the events are canceling and, we'll get with the staff. And I was here for like a day or two. The other two restaurants that are here in this commissary kitchen with me left. They closed their doors and sent the staff home. So it was just those Hermanos left in this building. And a very strange thing. People in this neighborhood, because where the commissary kitchen is located, it is a food desert. And with the pandemic and public transportation slowing, people in this neighborhood started to ring the doorbell, Stace, and started to ask me if they could buy food.
Mm,
And at first, it seemed so strange to me because this is where I wanted to hide. I didn't want people to find us, right? This is
right.
our sweet spot. And now it became a need for the community, right here around us. So I said to my brother in law, well, we can make a burrito here. And then he made a burrito. It was just that simple. And then I rang it up. I found like a square somewhere hanging around from one of the food trucks, and the person paid, and then off the person went. And then more and more people started to show up. So we were actually able to get our front room, which was our lobby, as you know, because you helped me with decorating up there. And we turned it into a takeout restaurant. And we were able to keep people fed here with fresh food
Right.
versus fast food,
Yeah.
right here out of this commissary kitchen. So that was our pivot. It felt like it was a need that came from the community.
Yeah.
We've added 5 food delivery service tablets here as well. So whether it's DoorDash or Uber Eats or Postmates, Chow Now or Grubhub, food comes from here as well from those tablets. And also people just walk in and buy food.
Wow. What I think I love so much about your story and how things have progressed for you is how God just kind of moved. And one thing that I would say to anyone who's watching, you know, one thing about you, Lisa, is you cared. To hear you, you just said, you're in a food desert, and the area that you're in, the community doesn't have access to good, healthy, fresh food. And
Right.
what you guys are doing is providing that. And I think because of the fact that you cared so much, not just about the community, but you care about your employees as well. And I think as business owners, that's one of the things that a lot of business owners don't really care about their business owner, their employees, and they don't care about the communities that they work in. And I
Mhm.
feel like God has blessed you because of that.
Mhm.
And here you are now. in this area where people can't access food quickly. I've been there. And I
Yeah.
know that there's no place to get food. You got to go all the way up to Broad Street or Fifth Avenue to get food. And a lot of people in that community don't have cars, they don't have transportation. Um,
Yeah.
so what you are doing there is amazing,
Yeah.
to be able to feed people. What a lot of people also don't know is I will tell them you also did a community garden, didn't you?
We did.
And you
So
did that community garden for the community.
we did. The employees. So we started it right when the pandemic happened. So it gave the employees some hours, and some, were outside in the fresh air,
Yeah,
and they could distance out. You know what I mean, Stace? And it felt safe, and it gave them something to really, work on.
right.
And they planted flowers all around the front of the building. And then yes, we planted 3 beds of a community garden. So, and they got to take vegetables home. I think you came over and I gave you a cucumber or something.
Yeah, I think I got some peppers, and I got some peppers and I got a cucumber.
What is amazing is that people in this neighborhood get to see fresh vegetables growing.
Yeah.
And I often talk about there's 2 little kids that live across the street, Stace, and I always say, instead of them riding their bicycle down to the gas station at the corner store, they now ride their bicycle here to the commissary kitchen.
Nice.
And they get to see people in uniforms and
Yeah,
people that come here every day and go to work, good
right.
role models, and fresh vegetables growing, in the middle of this area.
Yeah,
Um, it's versus what maybe they would see or can see if they take a different direction. So
right. So before we log off, because we only have a couple more minutes to go, you also you guys do cooking classes now, don't you?
oh yeah. So that
So
space up in Dublin that you talk about, that's fancy.
it's fancy up there. It is. I like
Fancy.
it up there.
Yeah. It's fancy because pre-pandemic, I wanted it to be a cooking space where people could come into our space, learn the techniques of how to cook the authentic Mexican food. We have a incredible retail area up there where you can buy Latin themed gadgets like tortilla presses or lime squeezers or things like that, that go along with the cooking classes. And I wanted people to really experience hands-on while they're in our space, and that's why it's designed the way that it is. But of course, with the pandemic, we've now gone virtual, and yeah, they've been amazing. We've done carne asada, we've done salsa, guacamole, fish tacos was a huge favorite.
Hmm.
Our Valentine's Day class was shrimp tacos. So we have some on the calendar for March and April, and we're now going to start being able to invite people in, I think, Stace, which is a beautiful brand new space. So
Yeah, yeah, nice. So those cooking classes are amazing, and I know that there are probably a lot of people watching that want to maybe take a couple of those cooking classes. I know
yep.
I do. I just haven't found the time, but I am going to, because I need to learn how to make some guacamole. I make it, but I need to learn how to make it the right way.
I
So
know you.
now that we're going to be wrapping up, Lisa, thank you so much for just telling us a little bit about your story and what you guys do. I love you to pieces. I do. If people need to reach you, or they want to reach you, they want to take the cooking classes, what is the best way for them to reach out?
Absolutely. So our website is www.doshermanoscolumbus.com. So
Okay.
absolutely everything's there. They can sign up for classes there. They can find out where the food truck is there. Our schedule is posted there. And or they can order food right on our website and get it delivered to their home.
So, you guys, go check out Dos Hermanos. I will tell you that it is authentic Mexican food, and it is amazing. It is the best Mexican in this city. And if you guys want to reach out to her, all of her information will be in the description, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Bye bye.